All right, welcome everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 10th of April, 2024, and this is the Cluster API Office Hours meeting. Cluster API is a sub-project of Kubernetes SIGs, and as such, we follow their meeting guidelines, which basically means please treat everyone as you would expect to be treated, or explicitly so, please be kind to each other. And if you'd like to talk, raise your hand and I will call on you. So at the beginning of our meetings, we like to give a chance for new attendees to introduce themselves. So if you are a new attendee and you'd like to introduce yourself to the community, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. All right, I am not seeing any hands going up. So we'll move along in 3, 2, 1. I know it's tough to find the hands up thing sometimes. Okay, open proposal readouts. I don't think we have any, so that looks good. So let's get on to our discussion topics. And Fabrizio, you've got the first one here with a heads up from Test Infra. So please.
Yep. So yesterday there was a Kubernetes leads meeting, and Test Infra leader came with 2 heads up. The first one is about the GCP cloud shutdown. So basically, they are shutting down the current cluster where they are running Prow. That means that by the 1st of August, it is mandatory that all the jobs have to be migrated to the new community cloud that run on AKS. This impacts all the cluster API provider which are hosted in Kubernetes SIGs. So please take care of migrate all the jobs, or to check that all your jobs have been already migrated by Test Infra folks. And the second heads up is not only they have to migrate the where the Proud job are hosted, but also the Proud itself. These are very complex operation. There is a proposal being discussed about how to do so, but the option that seems to be most probable to happen is that there will be implies there will be a Proud shutdown for 1 or 2 weeks. That means that all the activity in Kubernetes and Kubernetes 6 will be basically blocked for 1 or 2 weeks. This is disruptive, but it is probably less disruptive than any other option. We will probably the dates are not yet official. It seems that this is something that is going to happen after the 131 release. Discussion will be open by Test Infra in all the channels. Please provide feedbacks, but this is a thing that we have to keep an eye on, especially for our release planning as well.
And I see Christian in chat saying that we might have to shuffle around our 1.11 release.
Exactly. Yes.
Sorry,
so
not
I guess
1.11.
No, yeah, not 1. So what? I guess what do we? Is there anything that we need to do, or that providers should be doing at this point?
At this point, they have to plan for job migration and to keep an eye on this discussion, eventually provide feedback if they have concern or consideration.
Okay. Well, I guess all the providers out there who are running end-to-end tests, please review what you're doing because you're going to need to move it soon. Thanks, Fabrizio. You've got the next one with a heads up from Contrabex as well.
Yeah, another feedback from the same meeting. Basically, there was Bob from SIG Country X, which is basically fighting with Zoom to find a nice way to get both out of our meetings. It seems that Zoom is not really collaborative, and so yeah, the only option that meeting ghosts have is to kick out manually bots from our meeting. Let's see how this goes. Otherwise, there are less than ideal alternative, but for now, yeah, the Firefly box and all of them.
Yeah, and I noticed that maybe Yuvraj turned off his bot or something because I didn't see it today when I logged in.
It was not Yuvraj. They are AI bot that just pick up a random name and.
Oh, that's sneaky. Yeah, because I remember it used to say Yuvraj's Firefly bot, and I was like, oh, maybe Yuvraj can't make it. So, okay,
No.
that's good to know.
So
And
yeah.
And just so we don't go along too quickly here, because I didn't really give a chance. Did anybody have questions about the previous topic with the test related stuff? I realize that's a very complicated topic, and I just want to make sure we don't gloss over it in case someone had a question. But just I'll pause for a minute just to see if anyone had questions about that. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands going up. Thank you, Fabrizio. Nolan, you've got the next topic discussing some paused conditions for providers. So please, Nolan.
Yeah, so originally Theo was going to cover this, but he unfortunately had a conflict. So there's a link to the issue here, but I want to summarize it really quick. So what we're looking to do is find a way to confirm that when a cluster and its associated resources is paused, we would like to confirm that the pausing happened. In the issue, I think Joel proposed a new API field, but the more likely alternative is to set conditions to say there's a condition paused. And in the comments, he's provided like a kubectl invocation that can query for this. This is so that tools building on top of Cluster API can know that the resources were paused and they can do what they need to do. So there's some discussion on how we're looking to do this. Theo has tried to do some implementation stuff on the core CAPI, but one thing that's come out of the discussion is we're looking to see if providers have any prior art here and what we should be doing with establishing a contract between core Cluster API and the providers to say the providers could have an optional contract for now to say that this condition will be applied to their machine and cluster resources. And then eventually that would become a mandatory contract. We talked about this a little bit last week. Fabrizio and Stefan, I know you've made some comments here, but we just wanted to, we've talked on the issue about having discussion on office hours, so I just wanted to frame it for folks.
Yeah, so I don't know, Fabrizio or Stefan, did you have any kind of follow-ups here, or did anybody else had thoughts about kind of prior art on the paused conditions? Fabrizio, please.
Yeah, I think that we can split the discussion into part. First is how to implement. And I did not read the latest comment, but it seems that there is an agreement on Stefan, please keep me honest here. If that there is an agreement in using a condition and also a sort of an agreement in how this condition gets propagated through the hierarchy of object when you pause the cluster. So it seems that this part is kind of getting into a good state.
Maybe one disclaimer is I think we didn't have a better idea than condition. It's not necessarily 100% settled, but it seems like the best option that we could think of at this point.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, we are getting to a consensus, at least something actionable. So the second part is about the contract. So if I think that the cluster API, what basically we have is that we have some copy object cluster machine deployment machine, and then after this point we start having provider resources. I don't know, Bootstrap machine or kubeadmin bootstrap object, etc., etc. So if we want that the same condition that surface that an object is posed, we want that this condition exists through the entire hierarchy, which makes sense in my opinion. We have basically to, I don't know, write a short proposal or find a way to make it clear this new contract. That means what is expected by the provider, possibly give them some example or some utility to implement this, and to make this the adoption of this contract quicker in the community. I don't know, we want to give a timeline for implement this. This should be defined. So defining a contract basically means to engage with providers, making clear what is expected from them, how they can do it, and getting a consensus.
Stefan, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, well, what I was thinking is that maybe instead of having a separate cap, we can also open a PR, basically amending the contract in the way that we want to amend it, and then we basically get a feedback if that's if that's the right way that we want to go, and then once we have that, we can merge it. Otherwise, totally agree. Yeah, because in the end, the cap would probably be like a duplication of what we put in the contract. Afterwards, we have to update the contract anyway. So it's just a game of syncing back and forth otherwise.
Yeah, I did not check at what is the best way to communicate this. Just one thought now is that probably since this apply to many type of provider, Bootstrap, infrastructure, control plane, etc., we have to amend many contracts. But yeah, I don't know what is the best trade-off to get there.
Did you raise your hand again, Stefan? Or?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
please.
I just wanted to provide some context on why I proposed on the issue that we basically do with some sort of optional contract or something. So basically what I think what makes sense to do is basically that we can already implement it in Core Copy today. I think what also makes sense is that we can already document, hey, that's what we expect providers to implement in the future. And then by making the contract optional for now, we give everyone time to implement it. And it's not like, oh, we have to wait for like a big bang v1 beta 2 at some point, and only then we provide any information on it. Just to give some context around that idea of making it an optional contract first.
This sounds like great discussion. And I think if I was reading what you were saying there correctly, Stefan, I think that's a nice way to do it. If we could stage it in a way where, you know, providers could kind of gently get into this instead of having to make a huge change all in one version or something. That makes a lot of sense to me. Nolan, please.
Yeah, that all sounds good to me. This is, I think, something I was hoping Theo could lead. He just couldn't be here today. So what I'll do is I'll take a summary of this and put it in the issue. So then, yeah, we can make a PR for updating the contract. I think Theo's all right to continue working on his PR for implementing it in Core Cappy. And in terms of implementation of the optional contract, I suspect Theo, myself, I don't see Damiano on the call, but possibly, oh, there's Damiano. Possibly Damiano, we might be taking this on and implementing through providers too. So we will be helping drive this as so long as like there's not objections or whatever. But yeah, agreed that we need to get the contract defined at first, even if it's optional.
That sounds great, and thank you, Nolan, for bringing this forward. And thanks for the good discussion here. It sounds like we got some good consensus. Are there any other questions or questions or comments about this topic? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands going up, so we'll move on to the next topic. Christian, you'd like to propose to change our Kubernetes bump process, so please.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to highlight a pull request which updates the document where our issue template for bumping Kubernetes in Cluster API. With that issue template, we create an issue regularly for the next Kubernetes minor version. And in the past, we did rely on, or we had to wait on kind to release new node images so we can finish claiming support for a new Kubernetes minor version. Nowadays, we don't necessarily need that anymore, and we can decouple from kind. So the target here is that we can, faster claim support for a new Kubernetes version because we don't have to wait for kind anymore to release node images. Secondly, we can and should then also integrate earlier Kubernetes RC or beta releases in our testing, which is also possible. It comes back to, instead of relying on the pre-built kind images, build the kind images in CI when we need them. We already do this for some periodics where we, for example, upgrade to the latest Kubernetes, latest stable version of Kubernetes and so on. There's one more thing with that. We can claim support for a copy version for Kubernetes with that. But what we would postpone is we will still wait for the kind release and the kind images for bumping the quick start guide, especially because of CapD. Because if a user just wants to try out Cluster API with CapD, the building the kind node image is not that easy for them. So we would still rely on waiting for kind for releasing the images. So we basically just split up the process and move out the kind part to a separate step, and which is not part of the claiming support for a new Kubernetes version. I hope this was not too
really
complicated.
Cool. No, it sounds great to be able to not have to wait for the kind images to do our testing and everything. That sounds really cool. I guess, is there, like, aside from getting some reviews on the PR, does anybody have questions or comments or objections to this change that Christian's proposing? Yeah, Fabrizio, please.
Quick comment. So first of all, thank you, Christian, for documenting what we in fact already been doing this release. Second, this will be even more important. The possibility to test RC will be even more important considering the stop of PRAU after the next Kubernetes release. So if you don't want basically to get stuck in the middle, we should release in a step really close to the Kubernetes release, basically.
Cool. Thank you, Fabrizio. Does anyone else have questions or comments about this? Yeah, Stefan, please.
Yeah, just a quick comment that I think it's important to make this change because, it's just not great if you basically depend on the kind image being pumped, and that's basically happens at, whenever they get around to it in kind. I mean, they have enough work and they do great work there, but I think we shouldn't depend on something which isn't really scheduled for anything and basically best effort. And then worst case, we have to pressure them to, hey, please push this image, but this sort of stuff, right? So it's good if you're just being independent of that kind of image. for our Kubernetes support. Also, we don't want to really start moving around or release dates in copy because we basically don't know when the kind image will be published. That would be also a very bad situation.
Yeah, definitely. Well said. Any other comments or questions about this? All right. I'm not seeing any hands going up. So thank you, Christian. And I guess I'll try and take a look later today or tomorrow or something. Maybe get some other eyes on it too. All right. Fabrizio, we're back to you. You've got another topic here. So follow up about 10.3.6.7. Please take it away.
Yeah, so I spent some time digging into how the triage bot works today. And so I come up with a possible, with a proposal that documents how we should use labels when doing the triage process. And the proposal is kind of based on these three phases. So there will be initial triage, which is on the maintainers, and where the maintainer have to apply priority and kind. Kind gets usually from the templates, but yeah, we have to apply them priority. Then there is a second phase. So in most cases, the issue are not immediately good enough to be actionable. I call it this phase like triage finalization. And it is up to everyone to contribute to an issue in the discussion, helping in finding out a possible solution, like the discussion we just talked about for the issue for the pause. So this is a really great example. When the discussion is finished, and so the issue, there is consensus on the way forward and as detailed to being actionable, maintainers have to apply triage accepted. That means that and help or good for first issue labels. And from that moment, the issue became basically actionable. And it is up to everyone, basically helping in implementing the issue and get the original problem fixed. And according to how bots works, or are configured today, during the triage phase, inactive issue can go stale, rotten, or closed, and this is good because if issue are not actionable and they are inactive, it is best to get to clean them up. And instead, action on the issue never get closed, which is good. So it is we are talking about issue already triaged with a sort of agreement, etc., etc. They never get closed, but if they are inactive for some time, they must be retriaged periodically, and this and the frequency depends on the priority. And this is how all the bots are configured. I think that we have to basically start acting in this way.
This is really great. Thanks for doing the work and pulling all these details out, Fabrizio. And it makes it clear, like, kind of where, we'll need to the discussion that we had last time about like issues automatically closing and stuff like that. It seems like the triage part is really where we need to focus if we want to affect, kind of our perception of that. So this is really great. I guess like the follow-up now is for us to do some more reviews on the PR that you have up, and see if there's comments there.
Yeah, please review the PR. And since this is already how the bot works, I will start also to clean up issues that are not in line with this, with how the bot works. So because in the past we've kind of applied the label, depending on the weather, basically.
Right. Well, it makes me wonder too, and this is something that comes up in some of the other office hours meetings that I attend. Do we want to have a triage portion then of our office hours meetings where we try and, check the triage list to see if there's anything that needs to be triaged? I realize at first, this is going to be a really big list, but over time, if it were manageable, do we want to try and host like a weekly triage or something?
I'm tended to say nay, because in the past this never worked well. We had some of those meetings and the attendance was very low. But I think that as soon as we have the backlog in good shape, it will be nice, for instance, to carve out 5 minutes to look at the critical issues only, or stuff like that. So instead of having a full bug triage, maybe a focused one inside this meeting is doable.
Yeah, I think that sounds very reasonable. Like, you know, yeah, it would be nice just to be able to say, like, you know, even if we just have a moment to stop and look at the triage board just to say, hey, things are backing up, or we have some criticals or something, even if we don't go through them all. Stefan, you've got your hand up, please.
Just a comment. So if we consider doing this sort of sessions again, I think it might help if it's not exactly like Friday evening after 6 or 7 p.m. I know it was sort of the only way that people have time, because Friday was relatively meetingless, but some people also prefer the weekend. So yeah, just saying. Of course, it's relatively hard to find time slots like in the rest of the week.
Yeah, I mean, well said. It is tough and challenging to find a time when we can all do it. Okay, well, maybe this is a topic why we can come back to that once we have things in a better shape and we're all kind of cleaned up and Fabrizio's PR has been merged and everything. So I'll definitely try and take another look at that, Fabrizio. Anyone else, you're definitely welcome. Happy to have more reviews there. Are there any other questions or comments about this topic? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands going up, so we'll move on to Stephen now with a few release items. So please, Stephen.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Yeah, just a few release items. The first one was communicated in the Slack channel and via email from our comms team, but just a heads up that release candidate 1 was released yesterday for V170, and we have the patch releases for 1.6, 1.5, and the minor release for 1.70 scheduled for Tuesday of next week. And then, oh, did somebody else add an item here? I don't remember adding this schedule merge, but I can cover it really quick.
I added.
Okay, cool. I thought I was losing it for a second. Yeah, this is just merged. So yeah, obviously, you know, as mentioned earlier in the meeting, could use maybe some fine tuning later on, but yep, just a heads up that that's out there. And then last call for volunteers. I've gotten some pretty good traction on that Slack thread for the V180 release team, but wanted to just throw a heads up out here in this meeting. I don't think I brought it up in the past couple of weeks, but before, you know, before it's too late, I wanted to mention in the meeting. And then final item was I was going to repurpose our usual release team meeting slot for next week, given that, you know, the cycle will basically be complete, to host a retro. I don't know if anybody has objections to it. It's usually the half hour prior to this call, so 12:30 to 1 Eastern time. I thought might work well.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds really good. I see Stefan saying in chat, as usual, would be good if it's recorded. There's some plus ones there. So yeah, I think, does anyone object to doing that kind of before next week's meeting, the retrospective for the release? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands going up or chat. So I guess why don't we plan on that happening next week, and then we'll just make sure to record it and put it on the list so people can catch it if they're not able to attend live.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds great, Mike. So I'll just throw out yeah, unless somebody wants to reach out in Slack if they have a problem with that. I'll put like a reminder just in the Slack channel, you know, a day prior next week. So you know, people know they can show up. It's, you know, open for anybody to stop in. So it'd be good to get feedback from, you know, maintainers or any other community members who might be yeah, really anyone, just open to feedback. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for bringing all this, Stephen. And, awesome work from the release team too. It's just amazing every time kind of see all this come together. I love it. All right. So that brings us to the end of our regular agenda. So we'll get into provider updates now. It looks like Nolan's got a couple of Kappa provider updates for us. So please, Nolan.
Yeah, just saying I saw that the RC1417 came out, and RPR has been updated for that. I believe Damiano has also done that for CAPG, so kind of skipping around here. Also, we're working on getting a 2.4.2 release out for some bug fixes. But as part of that, I'm trying to finalize some release automation changes, so we're not doing everything so manually. And some Git confusion is holding me up there, but we're making progress on it.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. And thanks for improving the automation there too. That's much needed. And I guess if there's anyone in the community who is a Git wizard, please reach out to Nolan. He shared with me a problem with this automation. It's an interesting one for sure. All right, Jonathan, you've got an update on the add-on provider, so please. I don't know, Jonathan, are you there? Or we can't hear you if you're talking.
Oh yeah, I was. Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Oh
Thank
yeah, I
you.
was muted. I just wanted to share that we cut a new v0.2.1 release, and we got quite a few PRs in that one. So the API is still in alpha, but we are on a stable release version now.
Very cool. And great to see some new contributors getting involved too. That's awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of that, if anybody is interested in helping out as a reviewer or a maintainer, feel free to reach out on Slack as well.
All right.
We're definitely recruiting on that front.
Cool. So yeah, if you're into Helm and you're into add-ons and you're looking for a way to kind of get involved with Cappy, it's a cool project and there's like lots of interesting stuff happening there. So yeah, definitely reach out to Jonathan in Slack. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our regularly scheduled meeting. If anyone
I have one comment.
has, oh yeah, sorry, what was that? Oh, I missed it.
One comment.
Yeah, Stefan, please. Sorry.
Yeah, just about a Helm provider. We merged PR this week, which describes how you can use the Helm provider and Argo, etc., to deploy stuff into workload clusters. Should be in our book. I'm not sure if we cherry picked it already. Something with GitOps.
Is that a PR by David Tessar?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he's out on vacation this week, but I'm sure he'll be very excited to hear that it's in the book when he gets back.
Yeah, so I'll double check that it's getting cherry picked. It might not happen yet. But yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, awesome. Yeah, thanks for adding that, Stefan. All right, is there anything else? And this time I've got my thing scrolled up so I can see hands going up. I won't miss it again. All right, going once, going twice, going 3 times. All right, thanks everyone for coming out. We'll see you next week, and yeah, be safe out there, I guess.